Southwest Airlines was the last major carrier to resist the trend of charging for every extra. While other airlines added fees for checked bags, Southwest continued to let passengers check a bag for free, holding on to its reputation as the customer's airline. This wasn't just a marketing angle, it was a core part of how the company saw itself, reflected in its famously loyal workforce and a culture that put people first. But in late 2024, everything shifted. A wave of policy changes, assigned seating, new baggage fees, swept through the airline almost overnight. The catalyst wasn't just internal strategy or industry pressure. Instead, a powerful activist investor known for reshaping companies through aggressive campaigns pushed Southwest to abandon the very principles that set it apart. To understand how a company built on a simple, customer-focused idea could unravel so quickly, we have to go back to its earliest days and the unlikely origins of its Texas Triangle strategy. The origins of Southwest Airlines trace back to a quiet meeting in 1966 at the St. Anthony Club in San Antonio. There, lawyer Herb Kelleher and entrepreneur Rand King mapped out a new airline concept on a cocktail napkin. Their idea was simple but powerful. Connect Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio, the three key points of the Texas Triangle. These cities were far enough apart to make flying appealing, yet close enough that a focused, efficient airline could serve them with high frequency. They bypassed federal fare controls by flying only within Texas, dodging the Civil Aeronautics Board's oversight, an edge rivals couldn't match. This regulatory loophole meant Southwest could set its own fares and schedules, while national carriers were stuck navigating red tape. Established airlines quickly saw the danger. Braniff, Texas International, and Continental responded with a barrage of lawsuits, dragging the upstart into protracted legal battles that cost Southwest nearly $500,000 before it could operate a single flight. Despite the setbacks, Southwest launched in 1971 with 3 Boeing 737s. The schedule was lean but targeted. 12 weekly flights ran between Dallas and Houston, and 6 weekly flights connected Dallas to San Antonio. From the start, the focus was on business travelers who needed speed and reliability. 2 fare levels, $20 for flexibility, $13 for advanced purchase, made flying competitive with driving, especially for executives crisscrossing the Texas Triangle. Choosing Dallas Love Field as its home base gave Southwest a strategic edge. The airport's compact size allowed for quick turnarounds, while its location close to downtown Dallas made it more convenient than the sprawling Dallas-Fort Worth airport used by national carriers. Southwest leaned into the love theme, incorporating a heart and warm colors into its branding to reinforce the airline's approachable image. Southwest rejected the industry-standard hub-and-spoke model in favor of direct, point-to-point flights. This approach cut down on layovers and connection times, letting passengers get where they needed to go faster. The airline became known for its 10-minute gate turnarounds, a feat made possible by having crew members help tidy the cabin between flights, minimizing downtime and maximizing aircraft use. Many of Southwest's early decisions balanced customer appeal with operational efficiency. Open seating sped up boarding, free checked bags eliminated paperwork and kept the process moving. The airline's light-hearted culture, flight attendants telling jokes, playful safety demonstrations, built a different kind of loyalty, one rooted in both value and personality. By 1978, Southwest had expanded beyond Texas, but its approach remained unconventional. It favored secondary airports to keep costs low, operated a single aircraft type for simplicity, and avoided expensive extras like meals. Every move aimed to drive down costs and speed up operations, not just for its own sake, but to keep fares low for passengers. Instead of relying on traditional fees, Southwest found creative ways to generate revenue, such as selling advertising space inside the cabin and launching one of the first frequent flyer programs. When the airline industry deregulated in 1978, legacy carriers struggled to adapt, but Southwest's lean, nimble model was already built for the new environment. Within 10 years, Southwest carried more passengers within Texas than all its competitors combined. The company had shown that unconventional thinking and a relentless focus on efficiency could upend an entire industry. But as Southwest grew, the challenge shifted from disrupting the market to maintaining its unique culture and operational edge. Through the 1980s and 1990s, Southwest entered what many consider its golden age. The airline's operations reached a level of efficiency that set the standard for the industry. Southwest focused on city pairs less than 500 miles apart. The 10-minute turnaround became a signature, with each plane spending more time in the air, generating revenue, while competitors idled at gates. A standardized fleet of Boeing 737s and a simplified boarding process helped keep costs down and schedules tight. Workforce policies at Southwest stood out in an industry notorious for boom and bust cycles. The airline avoided layoffs for decades, even during recessions. Profit sharing was a cornerstone. In peak years, the program paid out the equivalent of an extra month's salary to employees, reinforcing loyalty and stability. Turnover rates for pilots and flight attendants were consistently less than half the industry average. Employees often cited the company's culture, built on mutual respect and transparency, as a primary reason for staying. Financially, Southwest's performance was unmatched. From 1973 through 2019, it reported a profit every single year, a 47-year streak that no other major carrier could claim. Even during industry crises like 9/11 and the 2008 recession, Southwest stayed in the black, while competitors posted heavy losses and slashed jobs. The AirTran Airways acquisition in 2014 marked Southwest's entry into international markets. The $1.4 billion deal opened routes to the Caribbean and Mexico, but Southwest kept its core approach intact. It maintained single-class cabins and free baggage policies even as it expanded. The integration was seamless. Within 3 years, AirTran's operations were fully absorbed, with no major disruptions for passengers or staff. Recognition followed. Southwest landed in Fortune's Most Admired Companies top 10 for more than 2 decades. Key to this success was the point-to-point route structure. While hub and spoke networks faltered during weather disruptions, Southwest's system allowed for flexibility and faster recovery. Business travelers, who made up a growing share of revenue, valued the reliability and direct service. The airline's lack of interline agreements, once seen as a disadvantage, often insulated it from cascading delays tied to other carriers. Southwest culture remained central. New hires underwent extensive training focused on customer service and teamwork. Problems that had been manageable in good times started to grow. The pandemic exposed the limits of Southwest's operating model in ways the airline hadn't faced before. As business travel collapsed in 2020, Southwest's dependence on short-haul domestic routes became a major liability. While competitors like Delta and United offset passenger losses with international cargo flights and government-backed repatriation missions, Southwest's all-Boeing 737 fleet wasn't equipped for cargo pallets. With no alternative revenue streams, the airline was left burning through $17 million daily at the height of the downturn, ultimately leading to its first ever voluntary employee buyouts. The December 2022 operational meltdown brought these weaknesses into public view. A severe winter storm triggered a system-wide collapse, and over 15,000 flights were canceled in just 10 days. Southwest's point-to-point network, usually an asset during localized disruptions, became a liability without backup hubs to absorb the shock. Passengers found themselves stranded, unable to rebook on other airlines due to Southwest's lack of interline agreements. Customer service lines were overwhelmed. Some travelers waited up to 12 hours for assistance. The airline took a $1.1 billion direct hit, but the reputational damage from images of abandoned luggage and empty terminals was even harder to quantify. Regulators responded with unprecedented scrutiny. The Department of Transportation fined Southwest $140 million for failing to provide timely refunds and assistance during the crisis. Investigators discovered the airline lacked contingency plans for mass cancellations, despite prior incidents in 2019 and 2021 that had highlighted the risk. The company's culture of employee empowerment faltered. Frontline staff couldn't authorize basic support for stranded passengers without management approval. Labor shortages added to the strain. Southwest needed to hire 2,000 pilots by 2023 to keep pace with its schedule, but training constraints limited output to about 100 new pilots per month. Legacy carriers lured away Southwest captains with higher pay and the chance to fly larger aircraft. Meanwhile, new competitors entered the market. Startups like Breeze and Avelo adopted a point-to-point model, but paired it with modern revenue management and more efficient aircraft, such as the Airbus A220. These airlines targeted the same secondary airports but offered basic fares, with optional upgrades appealing to both budget and premium travelers. Their fuel efficiency and flexible pricing put added pressure on Southwest's margins. Financial results reflected the turmoil. For the first time in nearly half a century, Southwest posted losses in both 2022 and 2023. Rising fuel costs and new labor contracts drove up cost per seat mile by 18% over 2 years. Inside the company, debate intensified. Some leaders pushed to modernize, adding basic economy fares, premium seating, and investing in technology. Others argued for preserving the customer-friendly model and fixing only the most urgent weaknesses. The board remained split until outside pressure forced a decision. The situation had reached a point where incremental fixes were no longer enough. Elliot Management's arrival at Southwest Airlines in June 2024 marked a decisive shift. The hedge fund acquired an 11% stake valued at $1.9 billion and quickly set out to reshape the company. Known for aggressive campaigns at firms like eBay, AT&T, and Twitter, Elliot targeted Southwest after watching its stock lag behind competitors by 22% over 3 years. Their approach was methodical: identify underperforming companies, push for rapid operational changes, and extract maximum value for shareholders. Elliot's demands were pointed and immediate. They called for a leadership overhaul, proposing to replace CEO Bob Jordan with Scott Kirby, who had previously engineered a turnaround at United Airlines. The hedge fund nominated 5 new directors, all with backgrounds at airlines like Ryanair and JetBlue, executives who had a track record of implementing ancillary fees and squeezing out new revenue streams. Elliot's team carefully timed its campaign. Weak financials from 2023 left Southwest leadership with little leverage. By August, the board yielded. 6 directors were replaced by Elliot's nominees, including executives with experience at ultra-low-cost carriers and financial backgrounds. The new board immediately approved a sweeping transformation plan: baggage fees, assigned seating, reduced legroom, and $1.2 billion in cost cuts, half of which came from deferred aircraft orders. Investors responded with enthusiasm. Southwest stock jumped 18% on the news, and analysts praised the, quote, monetization opportunities now unlocked. Once Elliot Management's appointees secured control of Southwest board, the pace of change accelerated. In September 2024, the airline launched assigned seating, breaking with its open boarding system for the first time. Passengers now paid $15 to $50 to reserve specific seats, and standard legroom shrank from 32 to 31 inches. The extra space was repackaged as more room seats offered at a premium. Early implementation led to confusion as some passengers struggled to adjust to the new boarding order, and turnaround times lengthened, eroding an operational edge Southwest had relied on for decades. By November, baggage fees arrived: $35 for the first checked bag, $45 for the second. Analysts estimated this would generate $400 million annually. The move directly contradicted the airline's long-running Bags Fly Free campaign. Customer service call volumes spiked 72% in the first month as travelers pushed back against unexpected charges. Families and business travelers who once favored Southwest for its transparent pricing now voiced their frustration online. By year's end, Bags Fly Free signage disappeared from airports. The culture that had set Southwest apart began to unravel. Flight attendants, once known for their humor and personal touch, now read standardized scripts that emphasized upgrade opportunities. The annual Culture Committee report, an internal benchmark since 1990, was discontinued. Internal communications shifted, referring to passengers as customers rather than guests. Mandatory training sessions focused on maximizing revenue rather than hospitality, and employees reported increased monitoring and sales pressure. Southwest's shift in policy had immediate consequences across the airline industry. When Southwest introduced baggage fees in November 2024, JetBlue matched the $35 charge within weeks, citing the need to maintain competitive parity. This was the first time Southwest had set the pace for industry-wide fee increases. Ultra-low-cost airlines like Spirit and Frontier lost 5% of their market share as Southwest, now charging similar fees, competed for the same price-sensitive travelers but with a broader network. On the other end, corporate travel buyers shifted 18% of their budgets away from Southwest to Delta and American, citing better reliability and more transparent pricing. Operational challenges emerged as well. Airports reported that assigned seating increased average boarding times by nearly 5 minutes per flight. Another proposal involved launching a regional subsidiary, Southwest Express, to compete directly with ultra-low-cost carriers. This unit would have operated with basic fares, baggage fees, and assigned seating, targeting price-sensitive travelers while keeping the mainline brand's customer-friendly approach intact. Though ultimately set aside due to operational complexity, analysts later pointed out that this could have satisfied investor demand for ancillary revenue growth without diluting the main brand. Alaska Airlines, facing similar industry headwinds, managed to preserve its customer focus while maintaining strong margins, offering a blueprint for balancing profitability and brand integrity. Their success showed that it was possible to adapt without sacrificing what made the airline distinctive. Customer perceptions reflected these changes. Surveys showed Southwest was seen as less appealing than legacy carriers and more expensive than true budget airlines. The brand occupied an uncertain space, no longer a leader in value or service, but simply another option among many. The airline's heart logo remained, but the emotional connection with passengers had faded.